talking about our capital needs budget tonight, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Henson so he can go over what we need to know.
Thank you, Ms. Tyler.
Thank you.
Casey Mego is going to run the documents for us. So Casey, if you wouldn't mind going to the first document. Thank you. And if you can scroll and make it full screen. Is everyone seeing that? Or are you seeing half a page?
See the whole thing.
Okay, mine must be set up differently. I wanted to go ahead and begin with this information sheet. This is the one pager that we've tried to keep updated over time. At a glance, as far as a one-page document goes, it shows some facts, but also shows the rationale and justification for how we as a school district prioritize our capital needs. Regarding facts, you can see that we have approximately 14.6 million, almost 14.7 million square feet throughout the school district. And so we have obviously a lot of buildings and a lot of square footage. We have 183 different buildings all over the county, all different parts of the county. We currently have 279 portables. Not all of those are used as classrooms. Some of those are used for things such as or after-school activities or PTO or office space for some itinerant staff. We have over 2,300 acres, and the average facility age for Metro Nashville Public Schools is right at 50 years of age. As far as our district-wide projects go, the largest part of that would be deferred maintenance. And obviously with an average facility age of 50 years, we have a lot of deferred maintenance needs. You can see on this sheet where we have over $400 million in deferred maintenance needs. In addition to deferred maintenance, included in our capital budget request under district-wide projects would be our request for new school buses. Per state law, once a school bus reaches 15 years of age, it must be retired and replaced. And so that basically sets us on a little over 40 school buses per year. And of course, that would mean if we didn't receive capital funding for school buses in 1 year, that only exacerbates that need. But we do fund school buses through our capital budget. And our typical average cost, all things being equal, would be over $4 million a year for new school buses. Regarding technology, we of course have a continual need for technology, particularly as we have moved to a one-to-one district. And so we are now looking at how can we keep those devices current with the refresh cycle. Our current refresh cycle that we are planning would be a new device every 3 years for our teachers and a new device every 4 years for our students, which means that we need to stagger those requests so that they're not all coming due at the same time in the same fiscal year. And so we fund all of our technology through the capital budget that is recommended by the mayor and approved by the Metro Council. If you were able to attend the learning session last Thursday evening with the Metro Council that Ms. Elrod hosted, you have heard that we are not able to participate in Metro government's 4% fund, which is set aside by the Metro Charter for Metro departments for things such as technology, repairs, some deferred maintenance, roof repairs, etc. That is not something that we are able to participate in. So all of those kinds of needs that we have must be requested and funded with our capital budget. We also have down below, you can see the minimum annual needs for our deferred maintenance. Of course, the largest would be HVAC. Again, with a average facility age of 50 years, we have a lot of HVAC needs across the district with the number of buildings that we have. Of course, we are always going to have roof repair needs, electrical, paving, plumbing, and furniture replacement. Over on the right side of this information sheet, we have some information that again describes our rationale and justification as it relates to construction priorities. There are two main data points that we use in relation to our site-specific buildings and the prioritization of those in our capital improvement budget request. The first would be what's called our Facility Condition Index, FCI score. And I'm seeing a message, can we make the image a little larger? So let's try to see if we can do that, Casey. Hopefully that helped. And so the Facility Condition Index score is something that that we as a school district internally update each year. We look at any improvements that might have been made throughout the year. We also look at maintenance work orders as it relates to deferred maintenance, as it relates to individual school sites. And so every 5 years, we have an independent third party go through and evaluate all of our buildings using the same methodology that we use. We actually were trained by them to do that internally, but we want to make sure that that we have an external third party come in and validate the work that we've been doing internally to make sure that our Facility Condition Index scores are current. The logic would be the lower the Facility Condition Index score, the higher on the priority list a particular building would go for either renovation or in some cases for replacement. And then we also have our student projections, and we look at each building's, each school's, what we call the capacity utilization, which means comparing current enrollment as well as future enrollment projections to the program capacity of each of our school buildings. And so that would mean that if a school is at 100% of utilization, capacity utilization, it means that it's entirely full. If it's over 100%, it would mean that it's overcrowded. Of course, under 100% would mean that it does have some room to grow. Typically, we've used, if a building gets below 70% of its capacity utilization, then it's significantly below its capacity. And so we look at potential long-range planning in that case. So the higher the capacity utilization percentage, the higher on the priority list, which would mean that we might need to add additional classrooms to a school, or in fact, we might need to search for land and request funding to build a new school, particularly as it relates to the current conditions in the south and southeastern part of the county that continue to grow, in some cases continue to grow dramatically. Any questions on this one-pager, this capital needs information sheet before we move on? I will say that we do work very closely with the Metro Planning Department in determining our student enrollment projections based upon different information that they may have regarding potential developments in the area. And so that does play a role in our future projections that we make. So Casey, if you wouldn't mind switching documents and going to the next one. The next document, we're just going to show as an example, the documents that we are going to be discussing today were emailed out by Dr. Severe yesterday. And so everyone should have all of these documents that you can look at on your own. This document is called the School Enrollment and Utilization Report, and we separate it by cluster. And so you can see on this page, the Antioch cluster, we show 5 years of actual enrollment. And so we go back to 2016-17 to look at actual enrollment. That would be the 40-day enrollment is what we typically used as our quote unquote official enrollment. And so October of 2016-17, 17-18, 18-19, 1920, and then the current year, 2021, which we know is, of course, somewhat of an anomaly as it relates to enrollment in general. We look at that in comparison to each school's program capacity, which is over on the far right, second column to the right. For instance, J.E. Moss program capacity 755 students. And if you compare that to the October 2020 enrollment of 695 students, that school is at current capacity utilization of 92.1%. We have a shade on any particular school where we have received funding for capital funding for design or for construction or for land purchases, approved capital funding that we've already received that would go to help with the capacity utilization percentage for each of those schools that would be shaded, such as Lakeview Design Center, where we have received capital funding for design fees only. To basically, the plan would be to replace Lakeview at some future date. And you've got this broken down between tiers. And so we've got the elementary tier first, then the middle school tier, and then the high school for that particular cluster. And one thing that we do look at, for instance, on the elementary cluster totals, we would look to see what that might look like for that cluster in the aggregate of all of our elementary schools, so that if we have maybe a school that's an outlier that is over capacity, but there may be some nearby schools that are under capacity, it might be a potential candidate for some rezoning to alleviate that overcrowding without having to spend capital funds to do so. And so we do look at that as we are looking at all of this data. So Casey, if you wouldn't mind then going to the next document, which I know is going to be, if we can make it, of course, as large as we can, because it's got a lot of columns, even though there are a number of columns that are hidden within this document, just so that it's not so overwhelming. But I do want to just make sure everyone understands what these columns are referencing. I will say, as you can see at the top, we have put together this capital improvement budget request with the thinking that the district will move to a K5-6-8 configuration school district at some point into the future. And so that has been, that K5-6-8 configuration would be driving this particular capital improvement budget request. And so in column A, we have the project itself. Column C would be the type of project, whether it's land or design fees or construction. And then column D would show the current year program capacity at each school. Column E would show the current enrollment at each school, the October 2020 enrollment. Column F would be the current capacity utilization, whatever that percentage is from that calculation for each school. Column G would be the current combined facility condition score, and that's combined made up of 4 different parts to that facility condition score. And then when we get over to column H is going to represent what this draft document would show as the district priorities for school-specific projects, and that would be for next year, for year 1. And so obviously column H is a very important column because this is the column where we are actually going to be making a request for funding for the next year in the next capital spending plan, whenever that is. We are required by Metro Planning to submit a 6-year capital improvement budget, just like all other Metro departments are, by the end of January. And so we've got that reflected here in columns H, I, J, K, L, and M. And then we also include a column N, which would be for years 7 through 10. And so what we have on this document is basically every school will be represented somewhere, with the highest priority, of course, being in year one. Next highest priority would be in year two, which is reflected by column I. So I will go through the items in column H, which would be, again, what we are going to be requesting to be funded for the next year, realizing that some of these numbers are large and probably won't get funded next year, but this is a true needs request, not a wish list. The first would be Antioch Cluster Elementary land at $3.4 million. We've had a lot of difficulty in being able to identify land where we need it in that part of the county. Land that is appropriate with the topography for a school building, with enough acres for a school building, and again in the right place to alleviate overcrowding in existing elementary schools in the Antioch cluster. The second item, which it would be on row 2, would be design fees for the new Cane Ridge Cluster Elementary School. The next item on 3 would be a new funding for a new Cane Ridge Cluster Middle School, 800 student middle school. On line 4 would be an addition to the Cane Ridge High School to alleviate overcrowding. The next would be design fees for Haywood Elementary renovation. On line 6 would be the new Hillwood High School at Hope Park, a replacement building for the current Hillwood High School. Line 7 would be track and stadium upgrades for Hunters Lane High School. This would be the last of our stadium upgrades for tracks and stadiums, whereby all of our high schools would then have an 8-lane competition track, as well as upgrades to their stadium. We've done a number of these over the last several years, I think beginning at Stratford, and then we've also done Glencliff and East, Overton, Maplewood. We've got funding this year for Pearl Cone, and so this, I believe, would be the last upgrade needed to get all of our high school tracks and stadiums up to a certain standard. On line 8 would be design fees for a renovation at Paragon Mills Elementary School. Line 9 would be a replacement for Percy Priest Elementary School, which was on a first-year request last year with our capital improvement budget request that did not receive funding. And then on line 10 would be design fees for a new West Mead Elementary School. Some of the discussion there has been regarding location of where that West Mead Elementary School might go, whether it be on its current site or at a different site. And that would make up the school-specific requests for year 1 in column H, requesting funding for 2021-2022 fiscal year. And Casey, if you can scroll down a little bit, we can look, and not to get into a lot of discussion, of course, unless there are questions, but if you could just go back up to, just so I can reflect years 2, 3 on out. Okay, this is not showing as well on my screen. So you can see going one column over to column I, second year requests, and you can see what those projects are. Some of these are where we're requesting land in 1 year and then design fees in the next year and then funding for the actual construction in the next year. Typically, it takes about a year for architects and engineers to design a major project, and then another 1 to 2 years, depending upon size of the project, for actual construction to take place. So once funding is approved, many times we're looking at approximately 3 years for the construction to be finalized. So Casey, if you don't mind going down to the district-wide projects, and we'll talk about those. Thank you. So this is page 5 of 5 of that document, and you can see again column H is going to show the request for the district-wide projects. We've got these split out between deferred maintenance and building projects. We also have technology requests here, as well as additional new school buses. And so this is that district-wide part of the request that we are required to request capital funding to receive, so that we can do the things that are reflected here within the district-wide projects. You can see at the bottom of district-wide projects, the total of just the district-wide projects is 191 point, or actually it's it's a little over $190 million. I can't see the bottom of that screen there. With our grand total number of 420 million request for, thank you, that helps, 420 million request for year one. Just as a point of reference, our request last year for our year one priorities was 382.4 million. And we did receive capital funding, including contingency, back on April 12th of approximately $86.2 million from that $382.4 million request. So I know I've thrown a lot at you here. If I could, I'll turn it over to David Profit, who I'm sure I've left some things out that he and Casey may want to point out as well. So David, you want to chime in?
Thanks, Chris. Some of the, I hear a static feedback there. May need to mute. Okay, there we go. So one of the things that I wanted to point out relative to the new projects, and some people have always asked me, when do you go from a renovation to a replacement? I just want to point out that that usually occurs when the cost to renovate a facility is roughly 70% of the cost of a new facility. It then falls into the realm of a replacement facility. One thing I wanted to point out about the Antioch Cluster Elementary land, Metro Properties is assisting us with looking at that. Our school assignment department has been giving us the area that they think is best for that location, and we have Metro Properties is working with us to do that. One of the other facilities too that Mr. Hinson mentioned about Hunter's Lane track and having all of them done. We have done all of the schools when it comes to their renovation projects or separate projects like Whites Creek. Stratford was during their renovation, Overton, all of those schools. So Hunter's Lane is the last one that we have to go. I'll leave it at that and just ask if there's any questions about any of the cost or anything like that that someone might want to talk about, and we'll be glad to answer it.
Chris, have there been any conversations with the mayor's office yet about the capital needs budget, or have there? I mean, where are we sort of in those conversations?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I dropped off for a second, came back on. We have not, but we do have a meeting scheduled with Robert Fisher within the mayor's office. We wanted to present this to the board's capital needs committee prior to having that discussion with anyone else, to be honest. And so we are planning to have that meeting on, I believe it's on Tuesday. And so we will be looping them in as far as what we have presented to the board at this committee meeting.
And Mr. Henson, I'd add that we just want to make sure never to get ahead of the board, and thank you for having this committee meeting so we can talk with them.
Thanks. I guess I was more curious about if we just have a sense for, you know, if there's even a possibility for a capital budget this year. It's just hard for me to know.
We're hopeful to maybe gather some of that information with our meeting to see what that possibility might look like. I know that in our learning session Thursday evening with the council members, there was at least some optimism among some that there would be. I don't know, I don't know how accurate that is, but we're obviously very hopeful that there would be. And there's no real timeline set out as far as the capital budget goes. The process is that the mayor's office recommends a capital spending plan from the 6-year capital improvement budget that all of Metro submits to Metro Planning. And then it's up to the Metro Council to then approve the capital spending plan that the mayor proposed or changed the capital spending plan. As I mentioned earlier, this past year, we received capital funding approved by the council on April 12th, which is somewhat unusual in the fact that in the past, the capital budget process has run fairly parallel with the operating budget process, whereby the operating budget would be approved in June, and then typically a capital spending plan would be proposed by the mayor and approved by the council sometime soon thereafter, whether it be July, August, or September. This year it was in April. A lot of that had to do, I believe, with the fact that there was a lot of tornado damage where we needed additional capital funding as well as Metro government for that purpose. And so that probably played a large role in why that was approved in April this year. There have been years where we've not received any capital funding. And so, as I mentioned earlier, that just exacerbates our request and our needs, particularly our deferred maintenance needs, when we don't have a capital budget for a particular year. I hope that answers some of your question.
It does. Thanks so much.
David, you may have mentioned this when I jumped off and came back on, but did you mention the property that we have closed on Mount View Road that we, or at least we're getting ready to close if we haven't already?
It's in the process of being, the documents being finalized, and we have about 39 acres that we found for a middle school over off of Mount View Road, and we're getting ready to, well, we are asking for the design money for that school. And we also are in the process of receiving some additional land out in South Davidson County for Cane Ridge Cluster project, and that is what you see in line item 2 for Cane Ridge Cluster Elementary School, and the design fees only for that parcel.
And that, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be, I think it's called the Burkett Place Development.
Burkett Ridge.
Burkett Ridge. The Burkett Ridge development is setting aside 15.9 acres.
Yes.
That would be used for that line item 2, the Cane Ridge Cluster Elementary design fees. That's what that would be used. That's why we don't have a request for land for the Cane Ridge Cluster Elementary. And that's also why we don't have a request for land for the Cane Ridge Cluster Middle School, because that was the piece that David just mentioned from Mount View. Any other questions that anyone might have regarding this process? As I mentioned, the planning department requires that the board approve a 6-year capital improvement budget by the end of January. And so, it would be up to Ms. Tyler as chair of the committee to schedule additional capital needs committee meetings as she sees fit before this would be brought to the board for final approval at the second meeting in January.
Hey, Chris. This is
Sure.
Sharon. I have a question.
Okay.
What's the delta between our last ask for deferred maintenance and this year's ask?
Last year, our district-wide projects totaled a little over 170 million, and this year is totaling about 191 million.
Okay.
So it's about a $21 million difference. Now, some of that that's not all deferred maintenance. Some of that would, of course, be for technology, and some of it would be for school buses. But just in total for the district-wide projects, that's the difference.
Okay.
Chair Tyler, this is Rachel Ann Elrod. May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Thanks. So on the last slide that we saw, I noticed that Goodlettsville, thank you. I noticed that Goodlettsville Elementary is not listed, or am I missing that? I know that we're voting on that tonight for design fees, or for an addition to their design fees. As that funding happens, boom, that's probably where I missed it from when I came in late. Okay.
Yeah, we did receive funding for, Casey's showing it right here. We did receive funding for a Goodlettsville Elementary School replacement in the most current capital spending plan. And so what's in front of you on the consent agenda is just a supplement for the architects for their design. The project's in the middle of design now. And so we did receive approved funding from the Metro Council for a replacement facility for Goodlettsville Elementary.
So if we receive that entire replacement funding, is the hope that Goodlettsville would be on that best case scenario of a 3-year project of 1 year for design, 2 years for construction?
I believe that is the plan. I'll defer to David Profit if you want to go into a little more detail.
Yes, Chris. Actually, the money has been approved by council, although the amount to be released to spend is for design purposes only, so that we can carry the project on through that first year, Ms. Elrod. And so if they allow us then to release that money for construction, it will certainly be on the 3-year plan.
Got it. Okay. And then I have one more question, and I think it's going to be from the slide that we just saw that had the costs. It is always surprising to me how much high schools cost. Can you explain for us, as I know we've talked about it before on the board, but it still would be helpful for myself, if we could talk about the reason why Hillwood at Hope Park is $120, and that's such a difference between Nashville School of the Arts at $109. Is there, what would be the big difference there in those costs?
I'll jump in and turn it over to you, David. I meant to mention earlier that part of the trick with this is to try to reflect current costs within the year of request, which means that there obviously has to be some escalation added to costs, particularly if they are in future years. With the Hillwood project, this is more than, for instance, the Hillsborough contract, which is sort of on the home stretch of completion by this summer. And so this takes into consideration construction cost escalation, but also to your question, the Hillwood High School is capacity of 1,600, full-blown high school with athletic amenities and facilities, etc. The Nashville School of the Arts is for a capacity of 800. And it would not have, the current discussion is it would not have all of the athletic fields, et cetera, but of course would have a much more robust performing arts aspect to it. But David, I'll let you jump in and share your thoughts as well.
You could, Chris, primarily the size and the athletic facilities, also site specific. You're dealing with a much larger site at the Hope Park site. Little things like the 3/4 of a mile long road that has to be reconstructed and things like that just simply add up to more of the cost. I would also like to say this about the cost on Hillwood. Per square foot for a high school, it's commensurate with what we see in the general area that Nashville and our peer cities would be experiencing. And also, it was a cost that has been verified. In fact, we're relying on that cost from the contractor who has been on board to facilitate those pre-construction services, which include estimating. So we are working with them quite closely to make sure that we have the most accurate price, and that is what we have updated. It does include approximately, depending on the trades, anywhere from 4.5% to 6% escalation cost within it from last year.
And one other piece that I'll add that David mentioned is we did receive funding for design fees for the new Hillwood High School maybe 2 years ago. So we've had the architects involved since we did receive funding for the design fees. And as David said, they have been working to be the main driver in cost estimation for that project based upon their designs. One other thing I'll mention on Nashville School of the Arts, since it did come up, some of you may remember, some of you may not. We did receive funding from the Metro Council to purchase property for a new Nashville School of the Arts at 88 Hermitage Avenue, close to downtown. It was in 2 separate capital spending plans for the total amount. The property is currently owned by the state of Tennessee, and there is a building, a small building on the property that some believe has some historical value. Obviously, there's no way to build a new high school on a piece of property with another building there. And so there was some discussion about whether or not to approve the purchase of the property, even though the council had approved the funding for that property. And so when it went to Metro Council, it did not receive enough positive votes. There were a number of abstentions for that. And so we still have the approximately $11.3 million to purchase the property on Hermitage Avenue, but it has not been, the actual purchase of the property has not been approved by Metro Council. And so just wanted to give everyone that update in case you remember some previous discussions about approved funding for property purchase for the new Nashville School of the Arts. So that will be a situation that will need to be resolved.
This is Emily Masters. I'd like to speak to that for just a moment because I was involved with advocating for that purchase just as a parent volunteer. And I just wanted to say from an advocacy perspective, I have spoken with members of the Historical Commission, and I think the perceived opposition to that purchase is not as great as was believed at that time. So just to put out there that I would be very interested in sort of revisiting that conversation and working to educate members of council about the historic value or perceived historic value of that property so that they might feel more comfortable approving that purchase.
Thank you. In fact, we will definitely take that under consideration as far as how to move forward with that.
I also want to kind of chime in and remind Ms. Elrod that if we look back at previous years' capital needs budgets, you'll see that the cost for the new Haywood High School at Hope Park was estimated as less, and that's because our fees have gone up every year with inflation. So the longer we put it off, the more likely we are to see that fee rise. And we need to make sure that we can get it started as quickly as possible so that we don't end up having to spend more money than we would already. So I just wanted to throw that in there too, because we, like Mr. Hinson said, we do have to keep up with the cost of building, and it changes from year to year.
Yes, that's the 4 to 6% escalation cost, I believe.
Yeah, and then I just wanted to make sure did you have another question, or was that answering everything? Great. Okay. Does anybody else have any thoughts or questions? Okay, well, not hearing any more thoughts or questions about what we see in front of us, I think we can give back another 15 minutes or so. Mr. Hinson, have you presented everything you need to say?
I believe so. And if any of you did not receive these 3 documents that we discussed in this meeting from Dr. Severe yesterday, please let him know so you have hard copies. And of course, I'm assuming we'll be scheduling some additional meetings in the future. And if you have other questions in the meantime, feel free to funnel those through Dr. Severe, and we'll try to get you some answers. But thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate the time you guys took to put all this together. It's very helpful. Well, no further questions with anybody else. I will adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.